John David Landis is an American film director, screenwriter, actor, and producer. He is known for his comedy films, his horror films, and his music videos with Michael Jackson. He directed National Lampoon's Animal House, An American Werewolf in London, Michael Jackson's music video Thriller, The Blues Brothers, and Beverly Hills Cop III. Early life: Landis was born to a Jewish family in Chicago, Illinois, the son of Shirley Levine and Marshall Landis, an interior designer and decorator. His family relocated to Los Angeles when he was 4 months old. Though spending his childhood in California, Landis still refers to Chicago as his hometown, and is a big fan of the Chicago White Sox baseball team. In the movie The Blues Brothers, Landis inserted a reference to his hometown team's rivals. During the traffic stop scene, Dan Aykroyd's Elwood character admits to John Belushi's Jake that he falsified their home address on his license, to 1060 W. Addison. When Jake incredulously asks why he would do that, Elwood replies, "Because everyone knows we're Sox fans," an inside joke to Chicago baseball fans. Because of the length of the movie, the scene, among many others, was eventually edited. Landis began his film career working as a mailboy at 20th Century Fox. He worked as a gopher, and then as an assistant director during filming MGM's Kelly's Heroes in Yugoslavia in 1969. He replaced the film's original assistant director, who became ill and was sent home. During that time Landis became acquainted with actors Don Rickles and Donald Sutherland, both of whom would later work in his films. Following Kelly's Heroes, Landis worked on several films that were shot in Europe, including Once Upon a Time in the West, El Condor, and A Town Called Bastard. Landis also worked as a stunt double. After working as a stunt double, Landis moved to London and worked as an uncredited co-writer for the film The Spy Who Loved Me. When Landis was a young boy, he watched The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, which inspired him to become a director. "I had complete suspension of disbelief really, I was 8 years old and it transported me. I was on that beach running from that dragon, fighting that cyclops. It just really dazzled me, and I bought it completely. And so, I actually sat through it twice, and when I got home, I asked my mum, who does that? Who makes the movie?" Career: early, Landis made his feature debut in 1971 as a director in the U.S. with Schlock. He was 21 years old. The film, which he also wrote and appeared in, is a tribute to monster movies. The gorilla suit for the film was made by Rick Baker, the beginning of a long-term collaboration between Landis and Baker. Schlock was a failure, and Landis was not offered another directing job for some time. In his own words, he parked a lot of cars during this fallow period. In 1977, Landis directed Kentucky Fried Movie. The film was inspired by the satirical sketch comedy of shows like Monty Python, Free the Army, the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and Saturday Night Live. Early success: in 1978 Landis directed his first film for Universal Studios, National Lampoon's Animal House, which was both critically and financially successful. In 1979 he co-wrote and directed The Blues Brothers, a comedy starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. It featured musical numbers by R&B and soul legends James Brown, Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles and John Lee Hooker. It was, at the time, one of the most expensive films ever made. It is speculated that Spielberg and Landis engaged in a rivalry, the goal of which was to make the more expensive movie. The rivalry might have been a friendly one, as Spielberg makes a cameo appearance in Blues Brothers and Landis had made a cameo in 1941 as a messenger. In 1981, Landis wrote and directed another cult-status movie, the comedy horror An American Werewolf in London. It was perhaps Landis's most personal project. He had been planning to make it since 1969, while in Yugoslavia. Twilight Zone deaths. On July 23, 1982, during the filming of Twilight Zone, actor Vic Morrow and child extras Mick Wardinla and Renee Chen were killed in an accident involving an out-of-control helicopter. The three were caught under the aircraft when it crashed. the National Transportation Safety Board reported in October 1984, Landis and 4 other crew members were charged with involuntary manslaughter. The prosecutors attempted to show that Landis was reckless, and had not told the parents and others of the children's proximity to explosives and helicopters and of limitations on their working hours. He admitted that he had violated the California law regulating employment of children, by using the children after hours, and conceded that that was wrong. But he denied culpability. Numerous members of the film crew testified that the director was warned, but ignored these dangers. After a 9-month jury trial during 1986 and 1987, Landis, represented by criminal defense attorney Harlan Braun, and the other crew members were acquitted of the charges. Landis was later reprimanded for circumventing the state of California's child labor laws in hiring the 2 children. This tragedy resulted in stricter safety measures and enforcement of child labor laws in California. The parents of the children sued, and eventually settled out of court with the studio for $2 million per family. Morrow's children, one of them being actress Jennifer Jason Leigh, who was 20 at the time, also settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. Landis has never acknowledged culpability for the accident. During an interview with Julia Dagno-Lavalin, he said, "Continued Success, Trading Places, a Prince and the Pauper-style comedy starring Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, was filmed directly after the Twilight Zone accident." After filming ended, Landis and his family went to London. Next, Landis directed Into the Night, starring Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Pfeiffer and David Bowie. This film was inspired by Hitchcock Productions. Landis appeared in the film as an Iranian hitman. To promote this movie, he collaborated with Jeff Okun to direct a documentary film called B.B. King Into the Night. His next film, Spies Like Us, was an homage to The Road to films of Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. Hope made a cameo in the Landis film, portraying himself. In 1986 Landis directed A Three Amigos, which featured Chevy Chase, Martin Short and Steve Martin. Landis co-directed and produced Amazon Women on the Moon. It is a satirical comedy film that parodies the experience of watching low-budget movies on late-night television. Landis next directed the Eddie Murphy film, Coming to America, which was commercially successful. It was also the subject of Buchwald v. Paramount, a civil suit filed by Art Buchwald in 1990 against the film's producers. Buchwald claimed that the concept for the film had been stolen from a 1982 script that Paramount optioned from Buchwald. Buchwald won the breach of contract action. Later films: in 1991 he directed Sylvester Stallone in Oscar, based on a Claude Meignier stage play. Oscar recreates a 1930-era film, including the gestures along with bit acts and with some slapstick, as an homage to old Hollywood films. In 1992 Landis directed Innocent Blood, a horror crime film. In 1994 Landis directed Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop 3. They had previously worked together on Trading Places and Coming to America. In 1996 he directed The Stupids. Then he returned to Universal to direct Blues Brothers 2000 in 1998 with John Goodman and, for the third time in a Landis film, Dan Aykroyd. During that same year, he directed Susan's Plan. The 4 movies did not score with critics and audiences. Burke and Hare was released in 2010, Landis's first theatrical release for over a decade. In August 2011, Landis said he would return to horror and would be writing a new film. He was the executive producer on the comedy horror film Some Guy Who Kills People. Music videos: he has directed several music videos. He was approached by Michael Jackson to make a video for his song, Thriller. The resulting video significantly impacted MTV and the concept of music videos. It has won numerous awards, including the Video Vanguard Award for the greatest video in the history of the world. In 2009, Landis sued the Jackson estate in a dispute over royalties for the video. He claimed to be owed at least 4 years' worth of royalties. In 1991, Landis collaborated again with Michael Jackson on the music video for the song Black or White. Television: Landis has been active in television as the executive producer of the series Dream On, Weird Science, Sliders, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show, Campus Cops, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, Masters of Horror, and various episodes of Psych. He also made commercials for Direct, Taco Bell, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Kellogg's, and Disney. In 2011 he made an appearance in Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton's television series Situville documentaries. Landis made his first documentary, Coming Soon, in 1982. It was only released on VHS. Next, he co-directed B.B. King Into the Night, and in 2002 directed Where Are They Now? A Delta alumni update, which can be seen as a part of the Animal House DVD extras. Initially, his documentaries were only made to promote his feature films. However, later in his career, he became more serious about the over and made slasher, Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project and Sturts Inside, Ladies or Gentlemen. These documentaries were filmed for television. Landis won a 2008 Emmy Award for Mr. Warmth. He worked on the making of Thriller, which was filmed in 3D. Landis appeared in the Spanish documentary The Man Who Saw Frankenstein Cry, which covered the career of Spanish movie director Paul Noy. Personal life: Landis is married to Deborah Nadelman Landis, an Oscar-nominated costume designer, two-term president of the Costume Designers Guild, and chair of the David C. Copley Center for the Study of Costume Design at UCLA. They have two children, Max, writer of Chronicle, and Rachel, a schoolteacher with a master's degree in human development. In a BBC radio interview, he stated that he is an atheist. Awards, nominations: Schlock for Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror Films, Twilight Zone, the movie for Best Film at Fantasporto. Dream On was nominated 4 times in the Comedy Series category at the Cable Ace Awards. Awards won: Schlock won the Best Film Award during Fanta Festival. Into the Night won the Special Jury Prize at the Cognac Festival du Film Policier. Dream On won a Cable Ace Award in the Comedy Series in 1992. Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project won in the Outstanding Variety, Music or Comedy Special category at the Emmy Awards, French Government. In 1985, Rimini Cinema Festival in Italy, George Eastman Scholar, The Eastman House, Sitges Film Festival in Spain, Filmography, Feature Films, directed by Landis, Schlock, The Kentucky Fried Movie, National Lampoon's Animal House, The Blues Brothers, An American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, Into the Night, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, Coming to America, Oscar, Innocent Blood, Beverly Hills Cop III, The Stupids, Blues Brothers 2000, Susan's Plan, Burke and Hare, co-directed by Landis, Twilight Zone, the movie, Amazon Women on the Moon, written by Landis, Clue, as an actor, Kelly's Heroes as Sister Rosa Stigmata. Battle for the Planet of the Apes as Jake's friend, Death Race 2000 as Mechanic, The Muppet Movie as Grover, 1941 as Mizorani, The Muppets Take Manhattan as Leonard Weinesop, Darkman as Physician, Sleepwalkers as Lab Technician, Spider-Man 2 as Doctor, Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader as Professor White. Documentary films, for video DVD, Coming Soon, Where Are They Now? A Delta alumni update, for television, Slasher Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project, co-directed by Landis, B.B. King Into the Night, music videos, short films for Michael Jackson, Thriller, Black or White, for B.B. King, My Lucille, Into the Night, In the Midnight Hour, for Paul McCartney, Spies Like Us, television episodes, Disneyland's 30th anniversary celebration, George Burns Comedy Week, Disneyland's 35th anniversary celebration, Dream On, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show, Masters of Horror, Dear Woman, Family, The Great Sketch Experiment, Psych, Fear Itself, In Sickness and in Health, Situville, Other Works, Universal. 360, A Science Fear Spectacular, books about John Landis, Alberto Farina. John Landis. Il Castoro. ISBN 978-88-8033-030-1, Julia Dagnolo Vallon. John Landis Empress. ISBN 1-59582-041-8, references. External links, John Landis at the Internet Movie Database, John Landis at AllMovie, John Landis at the Notable Names Database, 80s Movie Rewind Profile about Director, Daily Variety, May 24, 1994, Spotlight on John Landis, a Euro billion-dollar director, interviews, interview with John Landis, about Twilight Zone accident, all about the Twilight Zone tragedy, NTSB accident investigation report.